Hi and welcome to my channel. I'm Wendy. I'm a mother, a nurse, a widow with a peculiar drive to get a farm in Tasmania and an even more peculiar interest in the space programs. Okay, so Australia entered the space race with everybody else, along with Russia and the United States. We were the 7th country to launch a satellite up there, right up there with Sputnik. Except that was the last thing we ever did. That was the reset satellite, and it re-entered Earth's orbit in 1968. So it lasted 12 months. And we haven't launched another thing from our own facility. But we should. In fact, Australia's only ever launched 5 satellites. 3 of them are currently in orbit, and all 3 of them belong to telecommunications companies. Now, if we want to get information about our own country, we have to buy time from somebody else's satellite. So here's an image of our own country from NASA's satellite. We can't even take any pictures of our own disaster zones. So speaking of disasters, I want to touch briefly on Australia's bushfires. And that's not the impetus for this video, but it has a lot to do with this video. You see, we've burnt nearly 6 million hectares of bushland. That is the size of France. We've lost 2,500 buildings. 1,200 of those are people's homes. And sadly, the human cost at present, we've lost 17 lives. 28 more people are missing, and 4,000 are currently in the process of being evacuated. This is bigger than the Amazon fires and the California fires combined. And as I said, this isn't what today's video is about, but I'll link my video at the end on how to donate to the Red Cross, and I'll also leave links in the description for the fire services that you can donate to if you have a particular preference. And maybe if we had our own satellites, maybe this catastrophe wouldn't have happened. Maybe when the fire services told the government that this catastrophe was impending, that they would have had the data and the images to back up their claims. And this is what India's doing. I've done quite a few videos on the Indian space program, and I really think that they've got their public ethos right. They have and will continue to launch satellites to monitor weather and crop yield and deforestation and the reforestation programs, to monitor what's happening in the coastal areas with fisheries. And something that we don't have to worry about is border control, and that's what the latest RISAT-2 BR1 mission was mainly to do. And even their Prime Minister, along with the ISRO chairman, ISRO is India's space research organisation, along with the chairman, Dr. Shivan, announced on New Year's Day their space missions for 2020. And part of this announcement was to encourage people to get involved in space. Get your telescopes out on your balconies and have a look at what's up in the night sky. Get kids invested. Get adults invested in having their kids invested. Ostensibly, get the nation involved in the national space program. And this is what Australia needs to do. I learned that Australia has a space agency, all very quiet. I did hear that we'd given $150 million to NASA, but I didn't hear anything about the launch of Australia's space agency, and it's fledgling at the moment. We've negotiated with partners like Gilmore Space to build the rocket infrastructure. We're negotiating with other partners for the balance of the infrastructure. We have university programs developing Skyhopper, which is going to be a satellite launched in 2022 that has the ability to, in real time, turn and image a particular area. All right, but back to India. And a lot of this has to do with weather. A lot of our satellites up there are for Earth observation, for watching what's happening down on the ground. And with India, we have the air picking up off the Atlantic, coming over across India, creating the monsoon season, hitting the Himalayas, and the rain comes down in India. However, with the Atlantic Ocean now 1.5 degrees warmer, it's picking up more water and it's smacking into the Himalayas and dumping torrential monsoons. Last year, in excess of 3,000 people died because of landslides and flash flooding. Now, the air that hits to the Himalayas then bounces back and comes across the top of Australia. And if it doesn't have enough water in it, because it's all dumped on top of India, then we don't get any rain. And if we don't get any rain, we have drought, and we've had drought constantly since 2017. There are children starting high school this year who have never seen grass. So I mentioned India's RISAT-2BR1 satellite, and that's designed to monitor in very fine detail what's happening on the ground level in India. And this is the sort of thing that we need to do. We need to be able to use our own satellites to monitor our own ground space. Not only did India launch the RISAT-2BR1, but she also launched 9 other customer satellites from 3 different countries. And this is where India is very different. In 2018, there was the United Nations Symposium, Unispace 50, to mark the 50 years of space exploration. And at that symposium, they announced UNATI, and I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but this UNATI program, and they've just had the second wave of it. So there are 3 programs in total. The next one is in 2020 sometime. But this program is designed to have 30 enrolled students. It's an educational program. 30 enrolled students from around the globe. So they have to be either in the field of engineering or physics. And what they do is they have 2 modules. The first module teaches about satellite technology, and the second module teaches about nanosatellite. We have, 500 and 600 kilo satellites going up there, and then they come down. A small satellite is under 500 kilos, a micro satellite is under 100 kilos, and a nanosatellite is under 10 kilos, between 1 and 10 kilos. We do have pico satellites, which are under 1 kilo. So the nanosatellites are mainly used for Earth observation. And what India's UNATI program does is it teaches other countries from around the world how to build them. Not for India's benefit, but so that they can take them back to their own home countries, develop satellites for what they need to look after their own countries, and then launch them. And nanosatellites have only been around for probably about 10 years. And this is where the link between India and Australia comes into it. Now, Australia relies on other countries to be able to get its satellite information from. We have a large country, and at the moment we have fires burning the size of France. So with our brand new space agency, let's take a leaf out of India's book. Let's learn about satellites, nanosatellites, microsatellites, all the different varieties. Let's learn how to launch them into the various layers of the Earth's atmosphere so that we can get a really good picture of what's happening in Australia. Let's get our kids interested. let's get our educational institutions growing our own homegrown astrophysicists and keeping them here in Australia. And let's have a government that values having space exploration. And this is the reason why we've had nothing since 1967. The governments go, oh, we can't justify investing in it. And that's just not good enough. We need to be able to look after our own country. And we don't have to emulate NASA or ESA or JAXA or China. We have to look after our own country. We don't have to put a man on the moon or a woman on the moon. We don't have to send things to Mars. We don't have to go beyond the solar system. We have to, at very least, have our own satellites in orbit. We have to, at very least, be able to have our own launch program and be able to dictate when we explore our own space, the area just above Australia. And we can really take a leaf out of India's books. So India, thank you very much for showing us the way. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've learned a little bit about it. Go and check out the Australian Space Agency. It's actually pretty cool. If they keep going with the impetus that they've got going at the moment, it'll be really cool to watch. So welcome to all the new subscribers. Thank you very much. And if you're enjoying the videos, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and share the love. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.